Chapter 55. To Rice Buckets. As the ghost crossed into the netherworld with an army of 100,000 dry drought demons, the cultivators of the four directions were plunged into a brief silence. 10,000 miles of red earth. Flames were shooting out in all directions. The four directions were in a great drought, and the earth was cracked in countless ways. It was only when the drought demons left at this moment that the rivers of the four directions poured in, slowly extinguishing the flames on the ground in the four directions and nourishing the land of cracked fire after the great drought. Ancient sea, steeply, there was a loud cry in the distance, but it was Qinzibai, who was covered in blood, looking towards Guhai, previously swallowed by the blood dragon. And at this moment, he was also heavily injured in countless ways, but even so, he still had the might of the mid-heaven palace. Guhai twisted his head and looked coldly. Qinzibai let out a shout, and steeply, the attention of the stopped cultivators in all directions was instantly drawn over. "Hey, Qinzibai, what else do you want?" Quodid Great King said coldly. Quodode Great King's injuries were similar to Qinzibai's, ghost with the dry drought demon army leaving. Quodode Great King's strength was at the top of the heap here. Qinzibai had been trying to kill Guhai, and if it was before, Zhao Great King wouldn't have bothered. But this time, he let Guhai save him 3 times. The first time, Guhai returned the favor by imparting a caesarean section. The second time was swallowed blood dragon belly, life and death, but it was Guhai detonated the volcano, destroyed the blood dragon, let himself escape. The third time, he killed Mr. Dongfang, broke the blood dragon's life formation, and escaped. Quodid Great King was clear in his grudges, and didn't like to owe others anything. At this moment, if he could repay Guhai, he would naturally want to return this favor immediately. Not only Zhao Great King, the four directions, almost everyone was looking coldly at Qinzibai. More than 100,000 people, whether they were previously pregnant cultivators, or old ministers of Heian, or Qinzibai's old ministry, they had all received great favors from ancient sea, and if they were able to do so, they naturally wanted to return the favor, and together they stood on the opposite side of Qinzibai. Quodid Great King looked at Qinzibai coldly. Qinzibai, however, ignored it. Marshal Qin, Guhai's eyes narrowed slightly. On the side, Fairy Wana's face sank as she probed her hand and steeply grabbed out a mouthful of ancient Qin, as if guarding against Qinzibai's sudden strike. Qinzibai looked at Guhai, and was silent for a while before he spoke. "Guhai, national interests are not to be deceived. I should have done my best to put you to death, but because you were saved, I owe you a favor. I'll return it in the coming days." Qinzibai did not make a move, and the countless cultivators around let out a long breath. On the side, Zhao Great King's eyes narrowed slightly, and he didn't ask anything else. "Who are you?" Twisting his head, Qinzibai instantly shot off into the distance, disappearing in the twinkling of an eye in front of everyone's eyes. Watching Qinzibai leave, Guhai frowned slightly. At the mouth of a dry valley in the far distance of the periphery, 3 figures were standing at the moment, precisely Li Shenji and 2 subordinates. Li Shenji's face sank. He looked towards Qinzibai's departure. Rubbish, Middle Heaven Palace. Actually didn't even manage to kill Guhai in the end. A trace of coldness flashed in Li Shenji's eyes. "My lord, should we report back to the sun right away if the quintessence is out of the world? His Holiness already knows. There is no need to tell him. It's just a pity that Guhai is really a good tactic. Before entering the city, everyone is an enemy. After leaving the city, everyone is favored." Li Shenji's face was gloomy. "Then, what now?" A subordinate frowned. "Guhai has escaped this, forget it. Let's find another opportunity." Li Shenji sighed slightly. In the distance, Guhai watched Qinzibai leave and turned to Quodid Great King and the other 4 parties. "Mr. Gu, "Farewell," Quadid Great King said in a deep voice. Without saying anything polite, the Quadjo Great King stepped forward and flew away in a hurry. Obviously, just like Qin Zibai, his body was quite injured, and the most important thing now was to find a place to heal his wounds. Or else, if he was discovered by his enemies, he would be in deep trouble. "Mr. Gu, farewell, Emperor Gu, see you later. Ancient Emperor, we'll go back first." The cultivators from the 4 directions paid a slight bow in the direction of the ancient sea. Obviously, this place was soon going to become a new focal point. It was not advisable to stay here for a long time, and they had to leave immediately. Gu Hai gave a slight salute to the people from the 4 directions and didn't say anything more. "Ghost gone. I should leave too," Lin Wana suddenly spoke. "You're leaving right now?" Gu Hai frowned slightly. Lin Wana glanced at Gu Hai with some reluctance, eventually revealing a bitter smile. As a wave of determination flashed through her eyes, "I'm sorry, I still have things to do." "Do you need my help?" "Where to?" Gu Hai asked in a soft voice. Lin Wana shook her head. "I'll go to Metropolis for the things that Master has explained. It's not suitable for you to go, nor do I need you to go. Metropolis, the imperial capital of the Daiwan Imperial Dynasty, Metropolis City." Gu Hai frowned slightly. "I'm leaving." Fairy Wana took a deep breath and seemed to not even dare to look at Gu Hai. Flipping her hand, she took out a flying boat and jumped on it with a step. "Wana, when will I see you again?" Gu Hai called out. "Shoo." Lin Wana drove the flying boat towards the distance. With her back to Gu Hai, she did not reply. A trace of poignancy appeared on her face. "See you again. Hehe, it's best not to see each other. I cultivate the Taishang lineage. The Taishang is the most ruthless. Cutting down emotions and destroying sex is the only way to break through. If I join you again, they won't let you go either." A poignancy flashed through Lin Wana's eyes. Swoosh! The flying boat shot away in an instant. Gu Hai watched Lin Wana leave, his brows deeply locked, always feeling that Lin Wana hadn't said all she had to say, but yet he didn't want to force her. Alas, Gu Hai sighed slightly. "Brother-in-law, all of them have left. Why don't we leave too? This place is full of great droughts. It looks creepy, long when you opened her mouth." Gu Hai shook his head. "Wait a little longer." Gu Hai's eyes searched in all directions. Soon, 2 silhouettes were seen in the distance, and those 2 silhouettes had already walked to the outskirts of the Great Drought region, resting in a mountain forest in general. Go over there." Gu Hai laughed. "Shoo." There was someone who maneuvered the flying boat and instantly flew in the direction Gu Hai pointed out. However, in the middle of that mountain forest, there were 2 silhouettes running away, and it was none other than the duo of Ziwei and Shongsheng. The duo had redressed at the moment, changed their clothes and wore hats on their heads, grabbing a long sword in his hand, as if to chivalrous people walking in all directions. However, the 2 people's body type was too special. This disguise, how could it be hidden from people? Especially if it was a master of disguise like Gu Hai. "Ziwei, what do you need to wear this for? Ugly." Chongsheng, dissatisfied, tied the rope on his depressed. "What for? You don't want to live. Do you know how much those who got you pregnant want to kill you now? And me, why am I so unlucky? It's not my painting at all. It's all your fault. So let's dress up a bit. Don't get recognized. You and I only have the strength of the Jindun realm now. We can't fight them for shit." Ziwei glared. "This outfit, it's so uncomfortable to pass on. They might even be grateful to me. What are you worried about?" Chongsheng complained. "Grateful my ass. Shut up and get going. I've been hungry for 3,000 years. I still have to find a place and have a good meal. I hope they aren't coming after me," Ziwei said anxiously. Shoo! Steeply, a gust of wind came, but it was Gu Hai's flying boat, which instantly arrived where the duo was at an extremely fast speed. It's over. They've found out. They're going to kill and silence them. Ziwei instantly revealed a look of panic. Huh? It's Mr. Gu. Chongsheng, however, his eyes lit up. After all, his own paintings were only appreciated by Gu Hai alone until now. It was hard to find a soulmate. Seeing Gu Hai, he was overjoyed. Mr. Gu, Ziwei's panic suddenly disappeared, and she let out a long breath. The two of you. Where are you going? Why don't you come to my flying boat for a small sit and have something to eat, so I can see you off? Gu Hai laughed. Good, I'm starving. The duo nodded with bright eyes all of a sudden. Rulu, set up a banquet, Gu Hai commanded. Good, Giant Foot answered. On the flying boat, a banquet was quickly set up. Both of you, please, Gu Hai smiled. The two of them, however, had a steep light in their eyes. This, Mr. Gu, you invited us to eat. Ziwei was instantly surprised. These dishes, they were all sealed in the past. The flavor might be a bit worse. You to feel free to use them, Gu Hai laughed. Damn, I haven't eaten for 3,000 years. I miss it. Ziwei excitedly picked up a pig leg and gnawed on it. Gurung, Chongsheng, however, picked up the wine jar and poured it. He simply ignored Gu Hai and the others on the side. Gu Hai's face stiffened as he watched the duo in that inhuman state of devouring. Several times, he wanted to open his mouth, but he couldn't say anything. Because eternal life and Ziwei were too involved in eating. Gurgle, 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 gurung. That windswept momentum. Watching Gu Hai and the others, a trace of black lines sprouted from their foreheads. Brother-in-law, are the two of them hungry ghosts? Long Wen Yu said in shock. Because the wine banquet was the standard for 20 people, the duo was going to eat it all in this short while. Your Majesty. Giant Lu also looked at Gu Hai in shock. Keep setting it up. Let them eat. Gu Hai shook his head, signaling the others not to talk nonsense. Let those two eat. Hello. At once, some Great Han officials set up a new banquet. There's more. Haha, great. Mr. Gu, you're so open. I like this pig's leg, and this deer leg, and this pig head meat, and this. Ziwei ate while spitting and counting. Chongsheng was about the same, choking and then pouring a mouthful of wine. Long Wen Yu's face darkened. Fruitful rice bucket. This is 50 people's portion. They eat it all without stopping. How big is the stomach? Gu Hai waited on the side for a while and didn't wait for them to finish eating. There was a slight burst of bitter laughter. Starving for 3,000 years. Is it what it is? To eat back 3,000 years of it. To big rice buckets. Long Wen Yu skimmed his mouth. Your Majesty. The crowd of Great Han officials looked at Gu Hai. Obviously, they were also scared by the appetite of Ziwei and Chongsheng. Give them food. Give as much as you want to eat. As much as you want to eat. Great Han isn't short of this amount of food. Gu Hai commanded. Yes, the group of officials continued to set up the banquet. Gu Hai looked at the duo and ignored them for now. The flying boat flew quickly and soon stopped in another mountain forest. Here, there stood 10 sharks, respectfully waiting in the midst of waiting. Greetings to the Supreme Being. Greetings to the Emperor. The 10 stone men said respectfully. Your Majesty, they have been waiting for a long time. It's just a pity that the underground tunnel didn't come in handy earlier. The giant foal laughed bitterly. No matter. It's good that the people are fine. By the way, this is Hei Yan's head. Gu Hai took out Hei Yan's head and handed it out. Brush. All of the Lu Shai people raised their heads abruptly and looked above Gu Hai's right hand. Hei Yan's human head.